Greetings everyone, welcome back to my sketchbook. Today, I'll open up this inkwell beside me, is another ramble and doodle day, as it is pretty much every time I sit down with this particular sketchbook. So let's zoom in. Ooh, fancy schmancy. Let's start with the eyes as I typically do. Something I was going to ramble on about that I think is kind of important, and that is the concept of discouragement and why I think sometimes discouragement has tremendous value. I think for a lot of us, we like to think that our efforts are going somewhere, that it's possible that whatever that dream is, that it'll eventually come true. And sometimes you put a lot of time into something and you're not seeing that happen. So you think, well, maybe that's it. Maybe I've let it run its course. Maybe it's time to quit. Well, I'm here to tell you that you shouldn't quit. Now, why do I say that? Well, I think the most valuable thing, or one of the most valuable things that you can have, is a dream. And that dream is something that is worth having. Because when you don't have that dream anymore, then, well, it's not fun anymore. I don't think you should ever give up on a dream. You might change how much effort you put into that thing, and you might even see whatever that thing happened for somebody else. But the value of that dream is in the chasing of it. Kind of like artwork. The key part of artwork is the work. Art is not this thing that I'm doing here. Art is in the doing. It's not in the drawing. It's in the drawing. I don't know. That didn't come out the way I really wanted it to. It's in the doing. How about that? So you can put a lot of work into, or effort into, illustrating something. That illustration is not art. It's in that effort. And it's okay to feel discouragement. That discouragement has tremendous value because it lets you know that you care about something. That's a valuable thing, to care about something. I'm kind of drawing something a little bit ridiculous here, and I'll tell you what that whole thing's about. When I was 7, I'd had enough. I had enough, and I even made an announcement. I'm like, I'm out of here. I don't think people really understand me, or, man, I'm hitting the bricks. I'm giving up on just being here with whatever. I don't want to be doing this anymore. 7-year-old, whatever stuff. I'm running away from home. But I kind of made the announcement that I was doing that. So I packed up my belongings, at least the stuff that I thought was essential. And that would have been like a sweater that my grandmother had knit me. Maybe like an extra t-shirt. Uh, what would have been some other essentials? Well, I made a bunch of sandwiches, for example. You know, what the essential stuff that a 7-year-old would need. And oh, you know what? I also took like a few cans of, let's say, like beans or Chef Boyardee or whatever it was. So off into the woods I went, really just up above where I lived. And there was a tree house up there. Let me try to put that there. Okay. There was a tree house. There was a stream. So I knew I needed water. Had enough shelter for if it rained. What's remarkable, I threw in an extra syllable. What's remarkable about that is my mother didn't stop me. She let me go. But she knew something, I suppose, that was incredible. Well, here's a fun little bit of information. My mother was the second oldest of what would have been 11 children. And by the time she started having children of her own, my grandmother really hadn't stopped having children. Well, you know what? Actually, it would have been a little bit before that, but what I'm getting at is some of my aunts and uncles are not that far off in age than me. So my grandmother, for a span of almost 20 years, had children. So my mother didn't start having kids until she was in her mid-20s. Anyway, but anyway, some of my uncles came up into the woods, unknown to me that they would have been sent by my mother to check on me. But they came up into the woods and, were like, "Oh, I heard you ran away from home." And they were kind of like, in a weird way, encouraging to me. So, they came up with like an extra can of beans. And an essential thing for that sort of thing is a can opener, which I didn't pack into my bindle. This is what this thing here is called. I didn't pack a can opener into my bindle. But I had what was the Victronox? What was the thing called? The MacGyver thing, the Swiss Army knife. I had a Swiss Army knife, and I would have tried to find a way to puncture holes or tear open that thing. I did have like a spoon, I believe, because I at least thought that was necessary. Maybe I had a fork. I don't know. Anyway, so they brought this stuff along to make sure that I could survive. And I was gone for the weekend before I think I had enough at that point. But it's something that I needed, I guess, to see how on my own I could survive. Turns out I could kind of survive, but I needed help to do so. I don't know how many of you have ever kind of been discouraged by whatever's going on in your life and you thought, yeah, I had enough of this. I should just quit. I've put enough effort into this. I'm not seeing, whatever come into fruition. And I'm here to tell you that effort isn't going to waste, that the doing, that's where the value is. So I'm saying, don't quit. Just change how you look at that thing. So if you're at a job that you don't like, I'm not saying stay there forever. I'm not saying that at all. You don't, like, time is precious. So you don't have to keep putting effort into something that isn't going where it's going. You can just change why you're doing it. And if necessary, change how you're doing it. I'm trying to figure out something what I would want to do with these eyes. These are some pretty big eyes that I'd put on this thing. Let's put some kind of like eyelids on that. But don't quit. You can leave something, but don't quit. I know that's a lot of rambling, but it was fun about a year ago, coming up on a year. I'd be hanging out, chatting with my nieces and nephews, just about whatever kind of stuff. And Inktober was getting started, and I was asked, hey, it'd be cool if we could kind of do Inktober together, but we're not really in the same place. Which is why I started this YouTube channel, which was to have that ability to kind of hang out and draw pictures just for fun. So yeah, it's a fun thing for me to do this, whether I'm doing it on camera or not. I'm not really somebody who will draw pictures and talk out loud, though. This is kind of something for sure. Like if I'm in the woods or wherever, sitting on a park bench, I'm not usually talking out loud. But I'm not going to stop drawing pictures. That's not my thing. I will always have this as my thing. If you are also on YouTube and you do artwork or this kind of stuff, don't be discouraged, because this is where you need to put your effort, is in that chase, I suppose, in that creation, into the process. This isn't my my favorite thing that I've ever drawn here, but if in some ways this is helpful to you, that's cool. I want you to know that you're not alone with whatever it is that you're doing, that it has value. Now let me back this out a little bit, and then that should be it. There you go. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if at all possible, yeah, just look at what you're doing, but keep doing that thing, especially if it's something you're enjoying doing. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Ciao for now.